Hey everyone. So in the run up to Christmas, I thought I would do a little book haul because I've been around some shops recently, charity shops, and picked up quite a few books when I've been out and about looking for gifts for people. So I thought I'd do just to kind of go through those with you today, as I've picked up some interesting titles, some that I've heard of, some that I haven't heard of, and I also thought I'd do just a very brief book review of a couple of books that I've read recently. The first one was this Wicked Like a Wildfire, which was a book that I got in a Fairy Loot box recently. Um, I did mention it in one of the other videos, and I said that I was really enjoying it, and I did like it, but yeah, it's the first novel of the writer Lana Popovich, and set in Montenegro. It's about two sisters who are her witches, and they have these what they call gleams. So gleams would be like their magical abilities, I suppose. And it is quite interesting. But as the book progressed, I think I really got there's so much description in it. I mean, they discover secrets about their family. Something happens to their mother, and this draws them further into finding out about their family and their history and what it means to be witches and all that sort of stuff. And it sounds like something that would be exactly up my street, but I kind of find that the writing, which I sort of liked at the start, actually started to irritate me. I mean, I'm somebody that really likes my description, and I like, I love descriptive writing. I do it myself, but I just thought that in this book there was just so much of it, and it really got bogged down. It really took away from the story, I think, because part of the girls' gifts are that it's all about beauty, and everything is about the witches themselves are really beautiful, and their gifts is all about creating beauty. And just I find that the writing was just description within description within description, and it was almost, I was saying to a friend recently that it reminded me of when I went to Rome with my sister once, and we went into loads of cathedrals and churches and museums and galleries, and you just kept seeing like stunning paintings and stunning paintings and sculptures and artwork. And the more you saw, the less you appreciated them, almost, because you were just kind of bombarded with beautiful things. So I think that's what this book was like for me. The writing was just, it started off, I thought, oh, this is really nice. The descriptions are really vivid, and it just got a wee bit too much for me in the end. And aside from that, the actual story itself kind of started to bug me a bit. Maybe it's because it's a young adult novel. Like, I do like young adult novels, but as I say, the love triangle things, or just the love elements, kind of irritate me sometimes, just because they're yeah, to me, not always necessary. And they're a little bit cheesy sometimes. And as well as that, the ending itself, I just wanted to get to the end of the book. I wasn't really that keen on how it ended. I mean, it was good enough, but it didn't really grip me. And it's part of a duology, so there is going to be a second book. And I have to say that although I'm mildly interested in how the second book's going to pan out, I'm not really that bothered about it. I'm not sure if I'll read the second book. So yeah, slightly disappointed in that one, but I would still recommend, if you like sort of magical fantasy books and witches and stuff, to give it a go. Just for me, it wasn't as good as what I expected it to be at the start. So yeah. The next book I read was My Name is Lucy Barton by Elizabeth Strout. Now, I haven't read any of her books before. I know she wrote Olive Kittredge, which got really good reviews, and this again had really good reviews. I mentioned it to some people when I picked it up, and they said, yeah, that's really great. So I really whizzed through it because it's got really short chapters. It's quite easy to read, but again, I didn't love it. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't go raving about it and recommending it that everybody must read it. It was enjoyable, but again, I was happy to see it finished, and I was kind of racing through it because I wanted to get on to the next book. So for me, it didn't live up to expectations. It's about a writer who basically, or a woman that ends up in hospital after a routine operation. There's some difficulties, and she's basically kept in the hospital for like 5 or 9 weeks or something. And it's basically her mother, who she hasn't seen for years, comes to visit her. It's set in New York, and basically when her mother comes to visit her, they kind of reminisce about the past and share stories, and you learn about the main character's family and her upbringing. And it didn't really, the main character didn't really appeal to me very much. I didn't warm to her very much, and I always think for me it's quite important that to like the main character or to kind of at least want to keep reading about them. And my voice is going. And she didn't really, you know, appeal to me. So yeah, I was quite happy to finish that book. But again, you know, I wouldn't dissuade anybody from reading it. It was good, but it just wouldn't be one of my top reads of 2017. So the book that I was finishing that off really quickly for was this one, which is Mystery in White, A Christmas Crime Story by J. Jefferson Farjian. I don't know how to say that. So it's a British Library crime classic, which is one of the books that I picked up in a charity shop last week. And I was kind of racing through Lucy Barton to get to this one because obviously you can tell by the cover it's set at Christmas time. And I just wanted to read something Christmassy, and it sounded good. It's basically about passengers on this train, which it's Christmas Eve, and there's really, really heavy snow, and the train gets stuck, and some of the passengers in one of the carriages decide to, you know, make a go for it and try and find the next railway station or try and, you know, get to where they need to be. And basically the snowstorm is so bad that, you know, they're not really going to get anywhere, and they stumble upon this house which is deserted, yet there's fires burning in it. Somebody's laid the table for tea. There's a really freaky painting in the hallway with this old man who kind of is watching them, or they feel like he's watching them. So it basically brings together this collection of characters who don't all get on. One in particular they suspect is a murderer because, as it turns out, one of the passengers who makes it to the house tells them that somebody was killed on the train, or so they think. And they think one of the other people in the house with them is the murderer because he's really shifty and quite, you know, he's been lying about what he was doing. So I am really enjoying it. I've kind of whizzed through it. I'm halfway through it at the minute. It's one of those books that you kind of want to finish because it's really good, but you kind of don't want to finish it because it's really good. And it's really actually quite funny as well, which, you know, it's funny, and I really like the writing, and I'm a big fan of classics. It's not a book or an author that I'd heard of before, and, you know, I just like classic traditional storytelling, which is really beautifully written, and as I say, it's funny, it's interesting, and it's set at Christmas, and I don't even know how it ends yet, but I know it'll be good, so I would definitely recommend, if you can get this, I would read it, especially at Christmas time. So some of the other books that I picked up in the charity shop last week: Pride and Prejudice. I have read Pride and Prejudice, of course. I've also, the TV series that these guys were in quite a few years ago, I really, really enjoyed. So I realised that I didn't actually have a copy myself. So when I saw this last week, and I think this was given free with a TV book or something back in the day, so I thought, right, I must get a copy. So that I'll probably reread it again as well. I also got this, The Timekeeper, a novel by Mitch Albom. So I have read his other books, Tuesdays of Morrie, and what was the other one? The Five People That You Meet in Heaven. I really enjoyed those, and this one sounds really, really good. It's about the Father Time, basically, and he's punished for creating time. He's banished to a cave. Yeah, so the inventor of the world's first clock is punished for trying to measure time.